Welcome to Shoshin, the Path of Ascension. In this video, we'll walk you through how to play the game. We'll start with an overview of all the core mechanics, then dive deeper into each step of play. Along the way, we'll include periodic playthrough tutorials so that you can see the rules in action at the table. Inside the box, you'll find everything you need to play: a collector's edition rulebook, jumbo and poker-sized cards, dice, quick reference tables, clan roster sheets, movement, action, and damage tokens, measuring templates, condition rings, and more. Everything is designed to keep play smooth and organized. To set up, first choose victory conditions and prepare your tabletop. Next, decide on clan points limit, then build your clans from either pre-made characters or customize your own characters through the character creation process. Add up initiative points to see who plays first, then deploy units along your table edge. Finally, select your masterclass abilities to complete setup. We'll explain masterclass abilities in greater detail later in this video. With that, you're ready to begin. There are 3 ways to win: total annihilation, which is last man standing; time around limit, whoever has the most honor when the clock runs out; or objective-based, specific goals defined by players or by the campaign module you are playing. You can create a clan in 2 ways: pick from pre-made characters for quick play, or personalize your own warriors with weapons, armor, and training. Once chosen, add them to your roster, making sure they stay within your clan points limit. To create a character, start by choosing one of 6 archetypes: Daimyo, Samurai, Ashigaru, Sohei, Ninja, or Onmyoji. Equip them with weapons, armor, support items, and training based on character class rules. Then adjust stats and add them to your roster. Each character can carry 1 melee weapon, 1 ranged weapon, 1 piece of armor, and as many unique items as you like, although they may not be duplicated. Training improves abilities, but untrained skills come with penalties. Each character card aligns directly to your clan roster sheet. Stats, equipment, training, ability, costs, and totals are all recorded here. This makes managing your clan simple and ensures balance during gameplay. Characters are defined by 6 core stats: attack, defense, movement, body, leadership, and initiative. These determine combat power, durability, speed, morale, saving throws, and order of play. The Daimyo is your clan lord and a powerful leader. With strong leadership and combat ability, they inspire nearby allies and gain free training benefits. Only 1 Daimyo may be assigned per clan. Their masterclass abilities like Fury of the Rising Sun or Zen Restoration give them devastating impact and resilience on the battlefield. Samurai are skilled swordsmen bound by honor. They benefit from cheaper sword training and can initiate honor duels against enemy samurai or daimyo. In duels, the winner gains double experience and forces the nearby morale checks. Samurai also have powerful masterclass abilities like Arms Master for extra actions, or Transcendence, which turns failures into success. Ashigaru are the backbone of your army. Simple foot soldiers with low cost and modest stats. They're weaker in combat and slow to learn, but when fielded in numbers, they can be surprisingly effective. Their masterclass abilities make them more dangerous. Eagle Eye sharpens their ranged attacks, ignoring cover and avoiding friendly fire, while Collective Cohort allows groups of Ashigaru to move and act together, overwhelming the enemy through coordination. Sohei, or Buddhist warrior monks, blend martial skill with spiritual resilience. They come trained in jiu-jitsu for free and excel with polearms. With abilities like Iron Fists for devastating unarmed strikes and missile deflection to turn aside enemy fire, Sohei can be incredibly versatile. Their master class powers emphasize resilience, Way of the Fist gives them a powerful melee edge, while Ki Fortitude lets them absorb damage once per game, turning the tide of battle. Ninja are masters of stealth and espionage. They move through terrain with ease, scale walls, and slip away from enemies without reprisal. Ninjas excel at precision strikes with abilities like Assassinate to bypass high defense, and Shadow Strikes that grow stronger under cover of night. Their master class abilities enhance survivability and lethality. Critical precision makes their strikes more deadly, while Uncanny Dodge allows them to evade damage once per round. Ninjas are fragile, but devastating when played with cunning. Onmyoji are mystics who summon and empower allies. They begin with ritual proficiency and can enhance nearby units through divination, enchantment, or abjuration, boosting rolls, attack, or defense. Their most powerful ability, Conjuration, lets them summon yokai spirits directly onto the battlefield. Their master class abilities expand this further. Thaumaturgy allows multiple abilities to be active at once, while Spiritual Communion enhances their conjuration power. Onmyoji are support units who reshape the flow of battle through magic. In the dojo, characters may train in different melee weapon disciplines, or ryu. Each class has unique costs and restrictions. Some excel with swords, others with polearms or unarmed combat. For example, samurai pay half cost for kinjutsu or aijutsu, while Ashigaru pay double to learn almost anything. Choosing the right training ensures your warriors fight at peak efficiency and avoid penalties in battle. Ranged-based training covers disciplines like shuriken, bows, and arquebus. Not every class has equal access. Samurai and ninja excel at ranged options, while Ashigaru pay more to use them. Ranged proficiencies give your clan reach across the battlefield that can shape your overall strategy, whether you favor volleys of arrows, precise strikes, or the devastating arquebus. Specialized training opens unique options. Characters may learn herbal medicine, carry banners, or even train animals like horses. These proficiencies allow for tactical flexibility and utility, supporting your army beyond raw combat. From espionage with ninjutsu to sorcery with Onmyodo, specialized disciplines let you tailor your clan to your strategy. Some training paths unlock entirely new unit types. For example, warriors who purchase horses and train with Bajutsu become cavalry, gaining bonuses to attack, resilience, and movement. Units trained in Hojujutsu can restrain enemies using battlefield ropes, while Suijutsu removes water combat penalties. Other paths unlock espionage or sorcery abilities. Specialized units ensure that your army feels distinct and opens powerful new tactical options. Failing to train properly has consequences. Using weapons without proficiency limits attack rolls to lucky sixes and halves the range of ranged weapons. Cavalry without proper training lose their resilience and high ground bonuses. And in water combat, untrained units cannot attack at all. Investing in training is essential to keep your units effective and adaptable. All the weapons are defined by three key statistics: damage, critical effects, and distance. Damage determines how much harm is dealt, while criticals can inflict added effects like bleed. Distance is crucial for ranged weapons, marking how far they can strike. Some weapons also carry special traits or restrictions, making them more effective in specific situations. Knowing your weapon stats is the foundation of tactical combat. The Armory contains a wide range of melee weapons, each with unique attributes. From the humble dagger and staff to the deadly katana and nodachi, every weapon brings its own strengths. Critical effects like bleed, stun, or fear shape how weapons impact the battlefield. Some weapons excel against cavalry, while others can even shatter stone. Some weapons, like the chain and sickle, have an extended range. Choosing the right weapon for your unit isn't just about damage, it's about the tactical advantages it provides. Ranged weapons extend your reach across the battlefield. Shuriken and blowguns are light but deadly, with effects like bleed or poison. The Yumi longbow strikes at great distance, while the Tanegashima arquebus delivers heavy damage but requires reloading. For its devastating impact, gunpowder bombs can damage multiple targets at once, though they can carry the risk as a critical miss. Ranged options balance precision, reach, and risk. Armor increases a unit's resilience. Light armor, like Domaru, offers minimal defense, while great armor and modern armor provide significant protection at higher cost. Each class has different access and training requirements. Samurai and Daimyo can access heavier armors at reduced cost, while others may be restricted. Balancing defense with mobility and cost is key when outfitting your clan. Support items and specialized training expand tactical options. Pitch tar can ignite enemies, medicine grants immunity to poison, and instruments like the shakuhachi remove fear. Clan banners boost leadership, while scrolls improve initiative. Horses extend speed and power, ropes can restrain foes, and other specialized training unlocks espionage or sorcery. These items don't just support your warriors, they redefine how your clan fights. Artillery brings destructive firepower to the battlefield. Lightweight cannons and iron shot can devastate lines of troops, while flame arrows cause burning conditions across wide areas. Grape shot scatters deadly fragments in a cone, clearing groups of enemies. These weapons are costly and require training, but their ability to damage multiple targets and break formations makes them a game-changing investment. Artillery will be explained more in depth later on in this video. When mustering your clan, begin by determining initiative order. Each player tallies initiative points, with the highest choosing whether to act first or last in the round. Next, deploy your clan along your table edge, up to 12 inches forward. Deployment is done in descending order of initiative. Finally, select your Master Class ability cards, 1 per 125 roster points. Keep these secret until they are revealed in play. Optionally, players may declare unit types or use miniatures to represent their forces in a WYSIWYG manner. Shoshin is scaled to 28 to 32 millimeters, with 1 inch equaling 5 feet. All human characters are considered medium-sized, but larger units may be considered as large, huge, gargantuan, or even colossal. Area of effect templates measure the reach of special abilities and attacks like blasts. Lines extend straight, cones spread outward at 60 degrees, and circles radiate from a central point. Sizes scale from 2 to 12 inches, representing massive battlefield effects. A few general rules shape play. Honor and experience points are earned by defeating or routing enemy units, with bonus rewards for capturing enemies alive. Engagement rules prevent ranged attacks when units are locked in melee combat. Line of sight is measured from base to base, with players resolving disputes fairly or rolling a die if needed. And when halving values, always round down, but never below 1. These rules ensure clarity and fairness across the game. Time of day changes the flow of battle. Unless otherwise specified, the game begins in daylight and shifts every 2 rounds. During daytime, standard rules apply. At night, shadows tilt the balance. Ranged attacks are harder to land, while ninjas gain concealment and heightened striking power with the right training. Time itself becomes a tactical element, and players must adapt their strategies as light fades and darkness rises. Each round unfolds in phases, with players alternating activations. Begin by adjusting the time of day, then tally initiative to determine the order of play. During the movement phase, players take turn activating units at their discretion to move across the battlefield. In the action phase, they alternate again, performing attacks or abilities at their discretion. Special conditions are resolved in the same way. When all phases are complete, the round ends and the cycle begins again. This alternating system keeps play fast, fair, and dynamic. Once turn order is set, the movement phase begins. Units may march at their base speed, sprint at double speed, or charge at 1.5 times their speed to rush into melee. Some units can climb, while others may choose Overwatch, foregoing movement to fire during the enemy's turn. Specialized options include swimming across water, sailing aboard boats, or even fleeing the battlefield to withdraw from combat. Each type of movement shapes the flow of battle. Sailing mechanics will be further explored in detail in its own section later in this video. Let's examine the various movement types. In this tutorial, we'll demonstrate the basic march or walk mechanic, the standard way units move across the battlefield. First, measure the unit's base movement value shown on their profile. Cavalry units have a base movement of 12 inches. Align the tape at the starting edge of the unit's base. Move the model forward so that the ending edge of the base touches the measured distance. Once the unit has completed its march, place a green walk token beside it. This signifies the movement type used during the round. Any unit that completes a march gains the ability to perform an action in the upcoming action phase. To recap, measure, move, mark the walk token, and your unit will be ready for action. Now in this tutorial, we'll cover sprinting, also a running mechanic. This allows your unit to move farther across the battlefield, but at the cost of taking an action later. To sprint, measure up to double the unit's base movement value. For cavalry, that means up to 24 inches of movement. Once sprinting is complete, place a yellow sprint token beside the unit. This indicates that the unit used sprinting during its movement phase. Unlike marching, sprinting does not allow the unit to take an action during the action phase. Sprinting is useful for quickly repositioning or closing distance, but it leaves the unit committed until the next round. Now let's demonstrate the charge mechanic, a decisive maneuver that allows your unit to close the gap with the enemy and immediately engage in combat. To make a charge, measure up to 1.5 times the unit's base movement value. Cavalry may charge up to 18 inches. A charging unit must end its movement in direct contact with the enemy's base to complete the charge. Place an orange charge token beside the unit. If no charge token is available, you may substitute it for both a yellow sprint token and a pink action token. This indicates the unit has committed to the charge and melee combat has occurred. Make an attack roll and the charge has been completed. Normally, climbing is only possible if a visual asset is present, such as a ladder, vines, or another climbable feature. Without one of these, the unit cannot climb. However, in this example, we will demonstrate with a ninja that has the wall climbing ability. Move the unit vertically. It must end its movement on a horizontal surface. It cannot stop partway on the wall. Units may climb using either the march or sprint, depending on how far they need to travel. After completing the climb, place the appropriate movement token to signify the movement type used. In the event that the vertical measurement exceeds the base movement value, where the unit must climb up, then climb down to reach a horizontal surface, a sprint movement type must be used. Now let's demonstrate the swimming mechanic, how units cross rivers, lakes, and other water terrain. Only units trained in Suijutsu, the art of water combat, may freely enter and move through water. Untrained units face strict limitations. Untrained units may not move into water unless they start the round already at the water's edge. If they attempt to move, they must end their movement at the shoreline and cannot progress further that turn. Once in water, untrained units cannot attack until they return to land. Only march and sprint movement types may be utilized. Once in water, movement occurs normally with the appropriate water terrain modifiers. Now let's cover the Overwatch mechanic, how units can prepare fire during the enemy's movement to disrupt their advance. During the movement phase, instead of moving, a unit with ranged proficiency in either using a rifle or a cannon may declare Overwatch. To mark this, place a purple Overwatch token beside the unit. Now, when an enemy moves through the Overwatch unit's range, the Overwatch unit may interrupt that movement with a ranged attack. Resolve the attack immediately. If the attack results in a hit, then the enemy's movement is interrupted and must stay put. If the attack results in a miss, then the enemy may continue its movement. Once the attack has concluded, place a blue reload token next to the Overwatch unit. Now let's look at fleeing. A unit flees when it fails a morale check or when specific conditions force retreat. Routed units immediately attempt to move to the closest table edge as possible. A unit flees when it fails a morale check or when specific conditions force retreat. Routed units immediately attempt to flee the battlefield to the nearest table edge. Fleeing units always move in a straight line. Fleeing occurs simply by moving the unit out of the field of play onto the table edge. Routed units surrender double XP, while units that voluntarily leave the battle surrender no XP. Movement is influenced by terrain and conditions. Rough terrain like gravel or brush slows smaller units. Difficult terrain such as swamps or sand reduces speed even further. Water obstacles are the harshest, requiring special training to cross effectively. Collective movement rules allow units to act together with neutral assets like ships or artillery, while neutral assets themselves may be contested and even captured. Movement isn't just about distance, it's about adapting to the battlefield itself. Now that we've covered the core movement mechanics, let's look at how the battlefield itself changes the way your units move. Movement modifiers represent the effects of terrain, obstacles, and conditions, slowing or altering the pace of your warriors. We'll also cover unitization, or collective movement, where groups of figures act collectively as a single force. Together, these rules bring realism and tactical depth, turning simple movement into a dynamic part of the game. On clear, flat terrain, movements move at their full base movement value. This is the standard for open battlefields. Rough terrain is considered gravel, dense vegetation, or uneven ground. Small and medium units are reduced by 1 inch. Cavalry and larger units are unaffected. Difficult terrain can be categorized as swamps, sand, or mountainous ground. Small and medium units are reduced by 2 inches. Cavalry are reduced by 4. Large or larger units are unaffected. Water terrain are rivers, lakes, or oceans. Unarmored small and medium units are reduced by 3 inches. Armored units require suijutsu training to move at all. Cavalry are limited only to 4 inches total. Large units move at half speed, while huge or bigger units are unaffected. Moving through water also removes the burn condition, except for wooden ships. Units are not allowed to pass through terrain obstacles or any other unit. There must be adequate space for their base to be able to move. Some assets on the battlefield, like artillery or ships, require multiple units to operate effectively. This is handled through unitization, also known as collective movement. At the start of a round, a player may declare unitization. This can only be done with units already engaged with an uncontested neutral asset. Once unitized, the asset and attached units move and act together as a single entity. They no longer act independently, but each unit can still be targeted individually by enemies. To end unitization, a player must declare de-unitization at the beginning of a round. After this, the units and the asset act separately again. During the action phase, units perform abilities, attacks, or interactions. General actions let them manipulate the environment. Combat actions resolve through 2-hit rolls against enemy defenses, followed by damage rolls. Reloading prepares weapons like arquebus and artillery, while opportunity attacks let units strike enemies attempting to disengage. Other actions include revealing hidden enemies, arresting or rescuing restrained units, and even decapitating foes under the right conditions. Additional action types expand tactical play. Contested actions determine who controls objects or areas. Overwatch allows trained units to fire during enemy movement, interrupting their advance. Capture or drop actions manage tokens on the field, while manipulating or forcing objects lets characters interact with the environment itself, like pushing barriers or shifting obstacles. These actions make every battlefield interactive and strategic. Now that we've covered movement, let's take a closer look at what units can actually do during the action phase. Actions represent everything from combat to interacting with the environment, and they must be declared and resolved in order. Let's walk through each action type in detail. General actions cover simple interactions with the environment, opening and closing unlocked doors, operating mechanisms, and capturing or dropping items. To perform a general action, a unit must be directly engaged with the object. If multiple units are engaged, the action cannot be taken until control is established. To capture an item, simply declare the action and place a pink action token next to your piece. Remove the token from the game. That unit is now carrying the item. Conversely, to drop the item, simply declare the action, place your action token, and then place the item on the game board engaged with the unit. To manipulate or force an object, roll a d6 against that object's resistance/defense value. Objects can only be moved a short distance, 1 inch for equivalent size, or up to 2 inches if smaller. This is not a throwing mechanic. Combat is one of the most common actions. To resolve an attack, calculate the 2-hit against the target's defense value, factoring in any modifiers. A successful hit is a roll of equal or higher value than the target's defense. Roll for damage according to the weapon's damage value. If the unit has more than one attack, rolls are successive, not simultaneous. Once a hit is successful, all remaining rolls are canceled. A critical miss, being a roll of 1, not only fails, but cancels any remaining attempts in that sequence. Some ranged weapons are more situational, like the arquebus or artillery, which require an action to reload before they can be fired again. If an enemy attempts to disengage from melee combat, a unit may spend an action to strike at them during that withdrawal. Some characters require an action to use one of their character class abilities. Simply declare the action and place the token. All units in the game are capable of using the Alert ability to reveal concealed units if they are located within 2 inches of them. To reveal a concealed unit, you must roll equal to or less than the concealed unit's initiative. Warriors who are trained in Hojujutsu may attempt to restrain an enemy combatant that they are engaged with. To do so, roll equal to or less than the engaged unit's initiative. Only small and medium-sized units may be restrained. Cavalry may not be restrained. Conversely, units trained in Hojujutsu may attempt to rescue a restrained ally. Using the same method, roll against the restrained ally's initiative to attempt to free them. You must be engaged with your restrained ally. Units armed with a katana or nodachi and are also trained in their respective melee discipline may attempt to decapitate a restrained enemy. To do so, engage the restrained enemy and make an attack roll. Any result is successful except for a 1. Roll damage, and if it is enough to kill the enemy, then the unit is decapitated, and all enemy units within 3 inches must make a morale check. Combat comes in 2 forms, melee or ranged. Melee requires direct engagement, which is base-to-base contact, while ranged requires line of sight. Critical hits on a roll of 6 deal extra effects, while critical misses on a 1 fumble the attack. Lucky hits occur only on 6s when modifiers require it, while friendly fire is a real risk if allies block your line of sight. Remember, unarmed attacks cannot damage armored foes unless otherwise specified. These mechanics ensure combat feels both tactical and unpredictable. Gunpowder adds explosive power to combat. Firearms and artillery require reloading after use, costing an action. Gunpowder bombs deliver a 3-inch area of effect, applying damage rolls to all units within range. But beware, the volatility of bombs means a critical miss can detonate in your hands, harming everything nearby. Gunpowder weapons are high-risk, high-reward tools of war. Resolving an attack is simple as it requires a 2-hit roll against the enemy's target's defense. A 6 is always a critical hit, while a 1 is always a critical miss. High defense values may even block criticals entirely. Combat modifiers adjust rolls based on battlefield conditions, high ground, cavalry advantages, flanking, cover, nighttime penalties, extended range, and more. Understanding these modifiers is crucial for turning the tide of battle in your favor. Once a hit is confirmed, it's time to assess damage. Each weapon has a damage profile. Some deal a fixed value of 1, others use dice rolls. A 1d2 splits results between low and high, while a d3 distributes outcomes across 3 values. The most uncommon, 1d6, uses the raw roll. These mechanics ensure damage varies with the weapon's lethality, creating risk and reward in every strike. Combat in Shoshin follows a clear sequence. Revolve engagement type, calculate 2-hit, apply modifiers, and finally assess damage. Let's see these rules in action. To hit a target, roll a d6 against that target's defense value. Equal to or higher is success. Modifiers affect rolls. High ground gains +1 to hit against targets 1 inch or lower. In this example, base defense is 4, so a 4 or higher is needed. Because of high ground, now a 3 or higher is needed. A roll of 5 is a success. Partial cover imposes a -1 to hit penalty, reflecting obstruction. In this example, the target base defense value is 4. Now, with a -1 cover penalty, it requires a 5 or higher to hit. A roll of 3 occurs, meaning it's a miss, and since the attacking unit only has an attack value of 1, the attack is over. Charge attacks apply a penalty, representing the difficulty striking while rushing in. This is a -1. In this example, the ninja charges, makes an immediate attack. Since the samurai's base unit defense value is 4, with a -1, meaning a 5 or higher is needed. A 4 is rolled, therefore it is considered a miss. Since the ninja only has one attack, the attack sequence is over. Units with high defense, meaning their base values equal 5 or 6, are immune to critical hits unless stated otherwise. In this example, a ninja attacks a samurai with a base defense value of 5 with high defense. Normally, the samurai would be immune to critical hits. However, the ninja is trained with the skill Assassinates, which specifically bypasses high defense. The ninja rolls a 6 and applies the additional damage. Normally, the samurai would have been protected from that additional damage. Firearms and artillery must reload after firing. A unit spends an action to make the weapon ready for the next time they want to use it. Gunpowder bombs have a 3-inch blast radius. Declare the target, then roll once to hit against every unit inside the area of effect. A critical miss causes the bomb to detonate prematurely, striking everything nearby as a critical hit automatically. Morale checks keep battles tense. Units test against their leadership whenever disaster strikes. If their daimyo falls, if half the clan is destroyed in a single round, or if they lose an objective. Failing causes routing, and routed units continue to check each round until either recover or flee the battlefield entirely. Morale ensures that the psychological toll of war is just as real as the physical. Special conditions add depth to combat. Routed units attempt to flee, stunned units lose their turn, fear reduces accuracy, poison and bleeding deal damage over time, and burning spreads if unchecked. Restraining disables enemies until they're freed, while concealment keeps units hidden unless revealed. Some abilities also require concentration, lasting until broken. Conditions are resolved at the end of each round. Shoshin uses flow morale of play and special conditions to reflect the psychological and physical toll of battle. Units may flee when their leaders fall, or fight on while wounded, poisoned, or restrained. Let's see how these rules play out on the battlefield. When a clan's daimyo falls, all remaining units must roll against their leadership to avoid routing. Place a morale check condition ring on each unit, and at the end of the round, roll equal to or less than their leadership value. Another instance is when half of a clan's force is destroyed within a single round. Morale checks are required at the end of the round for each remaining clan member. Finally, losing an objective can also trigger morale checks as defined in campaign rules. Units that fail their morale checks are automatically routed. Remove the morale check ring and replace it with a routed condition ring. Routed units who fail their leadership saving throws each round must flee a la sprint for the nearest table edge. Once they leave the board, they're considered lost and surrender double XP. A stunned unit loses its remaining movement and actions for that round, but recovers immediately at the beginning of the next round. Simply remove the condition ring at the end of the round in which it was stunned. Frightened units suffer a -1 to hit penalty every round until they can save against their fear. Roll equal to or less than their leadership value to remove the ring at the end of the round. Poisoned units must save against their current body value at the end of the round to remove the condition. If failed, poison inflicts 1 body damage and will continue to do so until the save is successful. The bleed condition is a death sentence. However, some cuts go deeper than others. Failing the save at the end of the round inflicts 1 damage, but if successful, does not remove the condition ring. Restrained units may not move or act until they are rescued. A unit with Hojujutsu training may attempt to rescue a restrained ally, or if they are the ones that are restrained, may also try to rescue themselves. Roll equal to or less than the restrained unit's initiative to succeed. Units inflicted with the burn condition are effectively stunned until the burning subsides. Roll equal to or less than the burning unit's defense value to remove the condition at the end of the round. If failed, the unit remains stunned and 1 point of damage is inflicted. The burning condition lasts up to 2 consecutive rounds. Concealed units cannot be targeted until they act or are revealed by the alert detection ability. If alerted, roll equal to or less than the concealed unit's initiative value. When using an ability that requires concentration, place a concentrating condition ring on the unit. If the unit suffers a hit while concentrating, they must save at the end of the round. Roll equal to or less than their initiative value to continue concentrating. If failed, remove the concentration ring and the ability is lost for the remainder of Every warrior in Shoshin carries unique strengths that can shape the battlefield. From disciplined samurai masters to cunning shinobi and mystical Onmyoji, each class has abilities that define their role in combat. Some abilities are free, while others come at a cost during the character creation process, balancing power with choice. In this section, we'll demonstrate how character abilities function, when they can be activated, and how they affect the battlefield. The Daimyo is the leader of your clan, a powerful commander whose presence inspires all nearby allies. Each roster may only include one Daimyo. The Daimyo has martial mastery, which means that he may select one combat proficiency at no cost. He also has ancestral prestige, which means that he may equip any armor at half of its points cost. Lastly, the Daimyo has divine inspiration, which means that all friendly clan units within 2 inches of the Daimyo gain +1 to their leadership. This is a passive ability. The samurai are the disciplined warriors of your clan, skilled in honor and swordsmanship. They are natural swordsmen, which means they can train in kenjutsu or aijutsu at half points cost. Samurai are honor-bound, which means they may declare an honor duel against another samurai or daimyo. To do so, samurai just simply declare the honor duel prior to making a melee attack. The enemy must accept or be removed from play, surrendering double XP. Once the 2 combatants are locked in an honor duel, they may not be targeted by any other unit until one is defeated. Ashigaru are common soldiers, cheap, numerous, and versatile in groups. Their general ineptitude means that training costs are doubled. Sohei are Buddhist warrior monks combining martial discipline with spiritual fortitude. Their natural martial artistry gains them the ability of jujitsu proficiency at no cost. Sohei are adept at pole arms, which means they can train in sojutsu and naginata jutsu at 1/2 points cost. Selecting the Iron Fist ability at a cost of 1 point means that their unarmed strikes may damage armored units and stone objects. Missile deflection at a cost of 1 point grants the Sohei once per round the ability to use an action to negate one ranged attack by declaring the negation prior to the enemy's attack roll. This can only be used against arrows, poison darts, and shuriken. Selecting Ki Resilience at a cost of 2 points permanently increases the Sohei's body value by +1. And lastly, the Heal ability at a cost of 3 points allows the Sohei to use an action to either heal themselves or an engaged ally for 1 body or remove the condition poison. Ninja are shadowy assassins trained in espionage and unconventional tactics. Their espionage expertise allows them to start with ninjutsu proficiency at no cost. Selecting the wall crawling ability at 1 point's cost allows the ninja to move vertically upon any surface if enough distance remains to land on a flat horizontal surface. Being light-footed at the cost of 1 point allows the ninja to disengage from enemies without provoking opportunity attacks. The Assassinate ability at a cost of 2 points means that ninjas' critical hits bypass high defense. The Shadow Strikes ability at a cost of 3 points grants the ninja a +2 to hit bonus during nighttime. Concealment at 3 points adds +1 to the ninja's defense and grants them the ability to use an action to become hidden during daytime. The ninja would automatically become hidden during nighttime. The Agile ability, at a cost of 4 points, permanently adds +2 to the ninja's movement. Onmyoji are mystics who bend spiritual forces, bolstering allies, and summoning yokai. Their mysticism and ritualism practices give the Onmyoji the Onmyodo proficiency at no cost. The divination ability costs 3 points and requires constant concentration. Once activated, all clan units within 3 inches, including the Onmyoji, may re-roll 1 dice once per round. The enchantment ability costs 4 points and also requires constant concentration. All clan units within 3 inches, including the Onmyoji, gain +1 to their attack. The abjuration ability, at a cost of 4 points, also requires constant concentration. All clan units within 3 inches, including the Onmyoji, gain +1 to their defense. If either one of these 3 buff abilities are lost during the game, then the bonus modifiers are also lost. Lastly, the conjuration ability costs 5 points. This only requires the initial round of concentration. Upon success, the Onmyoji may summon any one yokai up to 12 inches away within unimpeded line of sight. There must be enough space on the battlefield for the yokai's base plate to fit. At the start of the game, each player selects their masterclass abilities. For every 125 total clan points, you may choose 1 masterclass ability. These choices remain hidden from your opponent until the moment they are revealed in play. A masterclass ability can be activated at any time during the game, but once it is used on a unit, it becomes bound to that unit for the remainder of the battle. These abilities represent the pinnacle of training and discipline, turning the tide of combat in ways only the most skilled warriors can achieve. Fury of the Rising Sun dictates that if a daimyo defeats an enemy unit in melee, he may immediately attack another engaged enemy, demonstrate 1 kill, roll again, and continue until an attack fails. Zen Restoration dictates that once per game, if the daimyo is reduced to 0 body, instead of removing him from the game, return him to 1 body at the end of the round. A samurai who is an arms master may, once per round, perform an additional action immediately after their first. Demonstrate this by having the samurai attack, then immediately take a second action. For the samurai with transcendence, all critical misses are treated as lucky hits. An Ashigaru unit with Eagle Eye ignores cover and nighttime penalties when firing ranged weapons. Up to 3 Ashigaru units within 2 inches of a Ashigaru unit with collective cohort may move and act together in the same turn, effectively unitizing 4 units. A Sohei unit with Way of the Fist that makes an unarmed melee attack may roll 2 dice and select the highest result. A Sohei with Ki Fortitude may negate 1 damage entirely once per game. Critical hits occur on rolls of 5 or 6 for ninja with the critical precision masterclass ability. Ninjas with uncanny dodge may negate a successful hit once per round. The Onmyoji with Thaumaturgy may have multiple abilities in play simultaneously without breaking the concentration of the others. Onmyoji with the Spiritual Communion masterclass ability may summon yokai twice per game, although only 1 yokai may be in play at a time. The battlefield itself is interactive. Objects have toughness ratings. Fragile straw and paper burns easily. Wood is vulnerable to slashing and fire, while metal and stone provide the greatest resilience. Weapons vary in effectiveness. Most cut through wood, but only the strongest or specialized tools can breach metal or stone. Objects may also be flammable. spreading fire across nearby terrain. The environment isn't just scenery, it's part of the battle. This chart shows how different objects behave in play. Straw mats, lanterns, and hay burn quickly. Wooden fences or boats offer more resilience but remain vulnerable. Stone barriers and castle walls provide heavy defense, with resistance scaling up by size and material. Some metal and mixed material objects resist damage but may still succumb to fire. These stats let you build immersive, destructible battlefields. Let's look at an example of interacting with the environment. Here, a samurai attacks a tree. The tree is classified as wood, which makes it sturdy, but vulnerable to slashing damage and fire. We check its resistance and toughness, roll for the attack, and apply the damage. Once the tree's toughness is reduced to 0, it is removed from the battlefield. Objects like this can block movement, provide cover, or even become hazards when destroyed, giving players more tactical options beyond combat with enemy units. Please refer to the inanimate object chart for full statistics and scaling properties of all objects when resolving
Cannons
these
change the
battlefield. Once trained in Hojutsu, warriors can crew Ozutsu lightweight cannons. These require setup, orientation, and reloading, and must be manned by at least one unit at the start of each round. Movement and attack values scale from the crew assigned, with initiative based on the highest among them. Ammunition types provide tactical variety. Iron cannonballs pierce through multiple targets in a line, flame arrows ignite enemies, and grape shot devastates wide areas. Artillery is powerful, but costly and demanding to field effectively. Artillery offers immense firepower, but comes with strict rules for movement, orientation, and reloading. Let's see how an Ozutsu lightweight cannon operates on the battlefield. Each cannon requires at least one unit to be engaged with it at the beginning of the round in order to act. Each cannon costs 8 points to bring to battle. Its attack power is equivalent to 1/2 times all of the engaged unit's aggregate attack values. Its defense is 4, and its movement is similar to its attack value, 1/2 times the aggregate total of all engaged units. Its body is 3, and its initiative is equal to the highest value of all engaged units. The cannon's orientation is set after its movement phase. It cannot rotate again until the next round and may only fire in that set direction. Cannons may load different munitions at a cost. Each munition type costs 5 points each. Choose the right ammunition for the situation before firing. Here we fire an iron cannonball. It strikes in a straight line 1 inch wide up to 18 inches, continuing as long as each target in line is destroyed or until the shot reaches its maximum distance of 24 inches, extended range at a -1 penalty. Continue rolling hits in line, but only if the preceding target was destroyed. The giant flame arrow uses normal ranged attack rules. On a hit, the target gains the burning condition. Grape shot covers a wide area, forcing to hit rolls against every unit, friend or foe, within a 30-degree arc up to 12 inches away. This makes it devastating at range. Units trained in Suijutsu may captain sailing ships. Ships act as neutral assets and can't be smaller than large. At least one trained captain must be aboard, with additional crew required for larger vessels. Initiative is set by the captain's initiative value, while toughness scales with size and construction. Wooden hulls add resilience but increase cost. Ships provide mobility, durability, and new tactical opportunities, but they require careful investment and crew coordination. Sailing ships add a whole new layer of strategy to Shoshin. With Suijutsu-trained captains at the helm, vessels can transport units, dominate waterways, and change the flow of battle. The standard vessel size is 2 inches wide by 6 inches long and comes at a base cost of 6 points to field in battle. Its wooden construction gives it a resistance or defense value of 3. Its base movement is 9 inches, and its toughness or body is 4. Lastly, the ship takes on an initiative value that of its captain. At least one Suijutsu trained unit must be aboard at the start of the round to act as captain. For larger vessels, additional units must assist in operating the ship. For every increase in the ship's width, another unit must be designated to assist the captain. Captain and crew may not move or act during the same round that the ship moves. However, in subsequent rounds, these units may disembark and move and act normally. Toughness and cost of the vessel increases with its size. Add +2 toughness for every 1 inch increase in length or width. But remember, for every +1 toughness, the ship's cost also increases by 2 points. Sailing vessels may hold as many units as physically possible, and a vessel cannot have its length exceed 3 times its width. For example, 1 inch by 3 inches, 2 inches by 6 inches, 3 inches by 9 inches, so on and so forth. A vessel that is smaller than the standard 2 inch by 6 inch size still requires a base cost of 6. In this example, we have one captain piloting the ship and an artillery detachment which will disembark within the same round. Through conjuration, Onmyoji may summon yokai once per game. These ethereal allies arrive at the end of the round, placed up to 12 inches away within line of sight. Summoning requires concentration, but can transform the tide of battle. Yokai obey special rules. Only one of each type may be on the field at a time. Some inflict conditions instead of damage, and they never make morale checks. Yokai hold no true allegiance. From flight to shifting alliances, yokai bring supernatural power into mortal combat. Oni are malevolent demons of immense strength. Large in size, they strike with devastating melee attacks and project an aura of fear, forcing all nearby enemies to roll checks or falter. Engaging an Oni is a battle of courage as much as combat. They are immune to fear themselves, making them relentless foes who dominate the battlefield through terror and brute force. The Kitsune, a 9-tailed fox spirit, is cunning and elusive. With high defense, it shrugs off critical hits. Once per round, it can dodge a successful attack entirely. Its light-footed nature allows it to disengage without reprisal, while its luminous snare prevents enemies from fleeing its grasp. The Kitsune embodies deception and control, weaving through combat with speed and supernatural charm. Tanuki are mischievous shapeshifters, small in stature but unpredictable in battle. They can transform during the initiative phase into a samurai unit worth up to 20 points. When that samurai falls, the Tanuki reappears, waiting around before shifting again, possibly into a new form. Tanuki trick opponents and keep players guessing, embodying chaos and adaptability on the battlefield. Tengu are avian warriors with mastery of the skies. Large and agile, they fly over terrain unhindered and launch ranged attacks with precision. Their spread shot allows them to split fire between 2 targets in the same turn, striking swiftly and unpredictably. Tengu bring speed, flight, and ranged versatility, harassing enemies from above while evading ground-based obstacles. Kappa are turtle-like water demons who fight in groups. 4 are summoned at once, moving and acting together as a collective cohort. They gain agility and extra movement when in water, making them dangerous in aquatic terrain. Though small and individually weak, Kappa overwhelm foes through numbers, coordination, and mastery of rivers, lakes, and marshes. Yurei are vengeful spirits that drift across the battlefield. Medium in size, they are resistant to critical hits and exude an aura of despair, forcing morale checks on enemies within reach every round. With the ability to phase shift, They pass through solid objects unhindered, while haunting influence lets them manipulate the world, opening doors or seizing objectives. Immune to all conditions, Yurei embody relentless, spectral dread. Its samadhi are monstrous bird demons, huge in stature and cloaked in flame. Their flight lets them soar over terrain, while their breath of fire unleashes devastating cone attacks that burn all caught within. Units shielded by stone or metal may escape harm, but few withstand the inferno. Immune to burn themselves, its samadhi dominate the skies with destructive fury. The Almiona, or Rain Witch, brings storms in her wake. Medium-sized and hauntingly powerful, she subjects all units within 4 inches to water terrain rules, drowning movement and strategy in relentless rain. Immune to fire and flame, Almiona warps the battlefield into her element, punishing those unprepared for the storm. The Serpent Witch, Nuriona, coils her way into combat, medium-sized with critical precision. She strikes with venom, landing critical hits on rolls of 5 or 6. Her attacks poison her foes, weakening them steadily. Immune to poison herself, she slithers through battle with lethal inevitability. Jubaku, the ancient tree spirit, towers as a huge yokai. Its lashing tendrils strike multiple times, each as a separate action, overwhelming enemies with unrelenting blows. Though slow and unable to run, its resilience is legendary. Immune to stun and bleed, Jubaku embodies the wrath of nature itself, immovable and merciless. Tsuchigumo are colossal spider demons, feared for their entangling webs. Huge in size, they restrain foes and dominate the field, though if destroyed, all of their bindings vanish. Defeating them early denies enemies their strangling grip, but if they endure, double XP is granted for each unit still caught. Immune to fear and bleed, Tsuchigumo are sinister predators lurking in the shadows. Gashidokuro are gargantuan skeletal giants, risen from masses of the dead. Their aura of fear forces enemies into repeated checks, breaking their will to fight. Though cumbersome and unable to run, their crushing blows and immense size overwhelm anything they face. Immune to fear, poison, and bleed, they embody death's inevitability. Silent, towering, and relentless. Legendary yokai are unique spirits reserved for the most devoted players. These beings follow the same summoning rules as others but bring unmatched presence to the battlefield. They are unique, inflict conditions instead of damage, ignore morale checks, and often take flight. Reserved for superfans of the campaign, legendary yokai expand Shoshin's mythic depth and reward those who walk the path of ascension most faithfully. The Yukiona, or Snow Witch, cloaks the battlefield in frost. Medium in size, she immobilizes foes with her blizzard's embrace, mired in snow and ice until freed. Her attacks stun, and she is immune to burning fire. Yukiona embodies the cold inevitability of winter, freezing both body and spirit. Tokage no O, the colossal lizard king, is the most fearsome yokai of all. Summoning requires deep focus across multiple rounds. Once unleashed, it devastates battlefields with sweeping tail whips and corrosive breath that melts defenses. Its toxic aura forces repeated poison checks on all nearby, while aquatic agility grants unmatched movement in water terrain. Immune to nearly all conditions, Tokage de O is a living cataclysm, an unstoppable force that reshapes the game itself. Mizuchi, the water dragon, rises from rivers and seas to dominate the battlefield. This gargantuan yokai demands deep focus to summon, but once present, it is nearly unstoppable. With every leeching blow, Mizuchi restores its strength, healing as it slays. Its aquatic agility makes it swift and unimpeded in water, while its flood ability turns the surrounding terrain into a hazard for all who oppose it. Immune to fear, stun, and burn, Mizuchi embodies the relentless tide, impossible to contain. Yokai are supernatural beings that can be summoned to the battlefield through Onmyoji conjuration. Each yokai brings unique powers, special conditions, and sometimes game-changing effects. Unlike human units, they do not follow conventional morale rules, and their abilities can alter the flow of combat in unexpected ways. Some yokai are resilient defenders, Others manipulate conditions, while a few unleash devastating attacks. In this section, we'll walk through each of the yokai's abilities with live demonstrations so you can see their effects in action. Keep in mind that only one of each type of yokai can be present on the battlefield at a time, and their allegiances shift, making them unpredictable but powerful allies or foes. Next, the Tsuchigumo, the huge-sized spider demon, terrifying and capable of ensnaring enemies in its web of entanglement. Upon a successful hit, it restrains an enemy unit. That unit remains bound unless the Tsuchigumo is defeated or an ally with Hojujutsu training is capable of rescuing it. If Tsuchigumo survives the battle, the enemy forfeits double experience points for every restrained unit. Tsuchigumo are cumbersome and may not run, and they have immunity to both fear and bleed. And finally, the Gashadokuro, a colossal skeletal giant. Towering over the battlefield, it spreads terror with every step. It also has Aura of Fear, whereby all enemy units make a fear check each round until passed. The Gashadokuro is cumbersome and cannot run, but its sheer resilience make up for a lack of speed. It is immune to fear, poison, and bleed. Only raw power can bring it down. The Blood and Snow campaign, crafted by Patrick Durkin, plunges players into a tale of ambition, loyalty, and bitter rivalry. When the lord of a prominent clan dies suddenly, his absence leaves a dangerous void. Two elder siblings, each claiming rightful inheritance, clash in a struggle for dominance. Their youngest sibling, still untested and malleable, becomes the deciding factor in this contest. Whoever controls the youngest heir can tilt the scales of power. As winter's snows blanket the land, the mountains, rivers, and villages of the domain become a crucible where steel and spirit are tested. Allies must be courted, enemies crushed, and strategy sharpened to a razor's edge. Every battle leaves scars not only on the field, but on the soul of the clan itself. This campaign combines tactical skirmishes with an involving storyline of political intrigue, where choices carry weight and consequence echoes across the battlefield. Now let's demonstrate a sample round to fast-track the comprehension of all of Shoshin's game mechanics. At the start of each round, both players tally their initiative values of all of their remaining units. After calculating totals, the red team has earned the initiative advantage with the highest score. This grants them the choice to act first or last for the round. The red team chooses to go first. Because it is round 3, the battlefield shifts from daytime to nighttime. This change introduces new conditions to the game. All ranged weapons now suffer a -1 penalty to hit, representing the challenge of limited visibility. At the same time, if a ninja's build includes abilities such as shadow strikes or concealment, they also gain advantages, making them more dangerous during the night phase. We now begin the movement phase. In this phase, players take turns activating and moving their units, one at a time at their discretion. Because the red team has initiative and have chosen to go first, they activate first. The red team's Daimyo marches 4 inches. The blue team's Ashigaru marches 4 inches. Because the red team's ninja is built with the concealment ability, it is automatically hidden during nighttime. The ninja marches 4 inches. The blue team's samurai currently has damage from the previous round and moves 4 inches. The red team's samurai, which also has damage from the previous round, moves 4 inches. The blue team's samurai, which is just out of marching distance to engage with the red team's samurai, elects to charge and move up to 1.5 times its distance to make an immediate attack at a -1 penalty. The red team's samurai has a base defense value of 4. Normally it would require a 4 or higher to hit, but since this is a charge attack, it now requires a 5 or higher to hit. The blue team samurai has an attack value of 2, which means it has 2 attempts to make 1 hit. The first roll was a 2, which is a failure. The second roll was a 3, which is also a failure. Since this was a charge attack, the samurai does not get an action during the action phase. Continuing with the movement phase, the red team's Ashigaru moves 4 inches. Finally, the blue team's Onmyoji will move 4 inches. This concludes the movement phase. Now moving on to the action phase, where each unit gets one action during this phase. Since the red team has initiative and has elected to go first, they must act first. The red team's Ashigaru, equipped with a bow and arrow, decides to take a ranged attack at the samurai. The blue team's samurai has a base defense value of 4, and being that it's nighttime, it's a -1 penalty, meaning 5 or higher is needed to hit. The Ashigaru has an attack value of 1, so it only receives 1 attack roll attempt. The attack roll results in a 4, therefore it's a miss. The blue team's Onmyoji casts Abjuration, which gives a +1 to all clan units within 3 inches, a +1 to their defense. The Onmyoji is now concentrating, and as long as the concentration is not broken, this effect stays in play. The red team samurai, who's engaged with the blue team samurai, elects to make a melee attack. The blue samurai's base defense value is 4, but since the Onmyoji has the Abjuration spell, it is now 5. This means that the blue samurai, under these conditions, is immune to all critical hit damage and effects. The red samurai has a base attack value of 2, which means it gets potentially 2 attempts to make a single hit. Its first roll results in a 5, meaning that it hits successfully. There is no other need. Its first roll attempt results in a 5, being a successful hit. Therefore, the second roll is no longer needed. The samurai is equipped with a katana, which does base damage 1d2. A 4 is rolled, which equals to 2 damage. A 2 damage token. The red samurai is equipped with a katana with a base damage value of 1d2. A 4 was rolled, therefore the blue samurai takes 2 points of damage. The blue team's Ashigaru elects to fire at the red samurai that's engaged with the blue samurai. The blue Ashigaru is equipped with an arquebus musket. The red samurai is just out of its effective range, meaning that now extended range at a -1 is required. This is also coupled with the -1 of nighttime, meaning that the Ashigaru has a -2 penalty to hit. Since the red samurai base defense value is 4, -2 to hit, it requires a 6. Because a 6 is absolutely needed, this would be considered a lucky hit if successful, meaning no critical hit effects would occur. A 6 was rolled, which ends up being a lucky hit and a success. The arquebus has a base damage value of 1d2. A 6 was rolled, therefore 2 points of damage have been incurred. Because the red samurai already had damage from the previous round, its body value was only 1. Since 2 points of damage have occurred, the red samurai is removed from the game. For games utilizing experience points, the red samurai's base leadership value was 4, therefore the blue team has received 4 experience points. Additionally, the red samurai's initiative value was 3, therefore the red team's total clan initiative has been reduced by 3, potentially giving the blue team the initiative for the next round. The Ashigaru unit must now spend an action in a future round to reload his weapon if he wants to fire it again in ranged combat. The red team's Daimyo elects to make a ranged attack with a bow and arrow against the blue team's Onmyoji. The Onmyoji's base defense value is 2, +1 for the Abjuration spell, making it 3. Since it is nighttime, the Daimyo suffers a -1 to hit penalty, so instead of being 3 or higher, it is now 4 or higher to hit. The Daimyo has an attack value of 3, which means it gets 3 attempts. The first attempt failed, but the second attempt rolled a 4, therefore it hits. So the third attempt is no longer necessary. The bow's weapon profile states that its base damage is 1, so no roll is necessary, just simply place a 1 damage token on the Onmyoji. The Onmyoji now needs to make a concentration saving throw at the end of the round. Finally, the blue team's samurai will make a ranged attack against the red team's Ashigaru. The Ashigaru's base defense value is 3. Because it's nighttime, the blue samurai suffers a -1 to hit, which means it needs a 4 or higher to hit. The blue samurai has an attack value of 2, which means it gets 2 attempts. The samurai rolls a 6 on the first attempt, meaning the second attempt is no longer necessary. This scores a critical hit on the Ashigaru. The samurai's weapon was a blowgun and darts, and its damage profile is base damage of 1 with a critical hit effect of poison. Therefore, the Ashigaru suffers 1 damage and at the end of the round must make a saving throw against poison. And finally, for the red team's ninja elects to reveal itself and make a ranged attack against the blue samurai. The blue samurai's base defense value is 4, plus 1 with the area of effect from the Onmyoji spell, making it a base defense of 5, and high defense. Also, being that it's nighttime, the ninja suffers a -1 penalty, which means it needs an absolute 6 to hit, being a lucky hit, and no critical hit effects would occur. The ninja's base attack value is 1, therefore it only gets 1 attempt. A 5 was rolled, being a failure. This now concludes the attack phase of the round. And finally, we move on to the special conditions resolution phase. Both the blue team's Onmyoji must make a concentration saving throw, and the red team's Ashigaru must make a poison saving throw. Since the red team went first, the Ashigaru's saving throw will go first. The Ashigaru's current body is 1. To save against poison, you must roll equal to or less than your current body value. So the Ashigaru needs a 1 to save or suffer 1 point of damage. A 6 was rolled, therefore the Ashigaru suffers 1 point of damage, bringing it to 0 and is lost for the game. Since the Ashigaru has a leadership value of 2, the blue team earns 2 experience points. Also, since the Ashigaru's initiative value is 2, the red team loses 2 initiative points to its clan total. To make the concentration saving throw, a roll equal to or less than the unit's initiative value is required. The Onmyoji has an initiative of 3, so 3 or less is needed. A roll of 4 was made, failing the concentration saving throw. The effects of the abjuration spell are no longer in play, and the abjuration ability is lost for the remainder of the game. This now concludes the special conditions resolution phase of the round. Remove only movement and action chits from the game board, leaving all damage and reload tokens next to their respective units for the next round to begin. Finally, join our community by connecting with us on Discord and social platforms. You'll gain access to exclusive updates, behind-the-scenes insights, and opportunities to share your feedback. Your voice helps shape the future of Shoshin, the Path of Ascension, and we look forward to walking the path with you.